Hello, everybody. Welcome to a new episode of this podcast, the show where we explore the fascinating world of language learning. Have you ever felt that you have stopped making significant progress as a language learner? I'm Gisela and I'm joined by my co-host Candela to discuss this question today.
Hello everyone, I'm just as excited as Gisela to embark in this linguistic journey with you all. The two of us have spent many years learning English, and even though we come from different backgrounds, our shared passion for language learning is what brought us here. Whether you're struggling with intermediate level challenges or looking for advanced techniques, you are in the right place.
Absolutely. If you're a language teacher or a language learner, you must be well acquainted with that feeling of having come to a stalemate in language learning. Do you know what to do to overcome that standstill and finally excel in your language performance? Today, we'll provide you with the tools and strategies you've been looking for.
That's right. It's easy to make quick progress when you first start learning a language. But as you continue learning, you naturally slow down because it takes more time, effort, and ability to reach a higher step in language acquisition. This phenomenon has been studied by a number of specialists, receiving the name of Plateau Effect.
The language learning plateau is a common yet frustrating phase many learners encounter. This is the point where a lot of people give up. But what is the so-called plateau effect? After doing some research on this topic, we discovered that the plateau effect refers to a moment in learning where significant progress or improvement seems to stagnate, despite any effort or investment. When learners go through this, they start giving more importance to what they don't know or what they can't do, instead of placing value on the great deal of knowledge they've already gained. The learning plateau can happen with any skill, right?
Exactly. The plateau effect phenomenon can occur in various aspects of life, such as personal growth, skill development, productivity, and innovation. In particular, a language learning plateau is frequently observed when learners reach an intermediate language level. According to Jack Richards, a renowned linguist and educator, once learners have arrived at an intermediate level of language learning, progress doesn't always follow a smooth progression, making the transition from intermediate to the upper intermediate or advanced level a deeply frustrating experience. Making progress is like trying to get out of quicksand or swimming against a strong current, isn't it?
That's so true. The plateau effect operates as a psychological barrier that tears down the desire to learn and has a negative impact on the learning process, influencing both the individual's progress and their perception of their abilities. This phenomenon dampens motivation in learners, contributes to complacency and a lack of growth mindset, limits learners' potential, and leads to self-doubt. Learners also start comparing themselves to more advanced students, which may undermine their confidence and hinder their willingness to continue learning.
Now, moving to our next point, let's see some possible reasons why you may be experiencing a language learning plateau. One cause behind this might be that you've met all the goals you set. Once one has achieved a goal, one loses motivation and stops seeing the sense in moving forward.
Indeed, and that's connected to another cause, the lack of goals. Not having goals can halt the language learning progress because, without a clear idea of what you hope to achieve, you don't have a clear direction for focused study.
I couldn't agree more. Besides, if you keep doing the same things and you don't set new goals, different to the ones that you've already attained, you're likely to keep getting the same results and you'll face the learning plateau. Finally, as we mentioned before, your lack of confidence might be your most formidable enemy. When learners realize that there's still a lot of things they don't know, their confidence diminishes and they feel that they'll never become as fluent as they'd like.
Well, it's clear that the learning plateau is more than enough to demotivate you completely. Maybe this phrase by famous actor Bruce Lee might encourage you to keep on working to get out of this stagnation. It says, there are no limits, there are only plateaus, and you must not stay there, you must go beyond them. What do you think about this, Cande?
It's such a great quote, I couldn't have said it better. If you or someone you know is currently going through this frustrating phase, don't throw in the towel. Stay tuned because we are now going to reveal a number of strategies that might help you break through the plateau effect and achieve the long-awaited progress in language learning. Gisela, would you like to start?
Sure. So, our first strategy is diversify your learning methods. Many learners hit a plateau because they stick to one approach for too long. While this may prove effective to understand the underlying rules or structures of a language, consuming more authentic material is what will help you to make a jump to fluency. Try to incorporate the target language into your everyday life as much as you can, and you'll start noticing differences soon. This could mean watching a film in the target language, switching your phone's language settings, or even chatting with native speakers through social media. You'll find a myriad of incredible TV shows, series, songs, and podcasts to add to your language learning routine as well. The more you use the language, the more comfortable you'll feel.
Without a doubt, hands-on practice is the best way to increase their confidence. In fact, making use of one single learning resource is what leads to stagnation. Consider this moment as a fresh start. Change what you've been doing, embrace challenges, and step out of your comfort zone. Tackling new and more difficult tasks and projects will bring your motivation back, stimulate your growth, and make you see the language from a new angle, all at the same time. Even when some structured studying time to focus on new vocabulary and grammatical patterns is still indispensable for success, venturing into other ways of learning will make the language learning experience even more interesting and exciting.
You're absolutely right, Cande. And this leads us to our next strategy, which is set specific goals. Without goals, it becomes impossible to focus your studying and, as a consequence, your learning slows down even more. Setting specific, clear, and measurable goals gives you the focus and sense of direction that is needed to overcome this roadblock. For instance, instead of a vague goal like I want to improve my English, set a specific target such as I will learn 20 new English verbs by the end of this week.
That's a great example. It's also important to base these goals on your current language level and make them realistic. Overly ambitious goals, like becoming fluent in a week, lead to failure and frustration. You should set realistic goals that are somewhat challenging but achievable. Regardless of what your goals are, having these clear benchmarks will help you keep moving in the right direction. Whether it's passing an exam, having a conversation with a native speaker, or visiting a country where your target language is spoken, goals keep you on track.
I'm with you on that. And last but not least, consistency is key in language learning. Daily practice, even if it's just 15 or 30 minutes, is more effective than occasional intense study sessions. Establish a study routine and stick to it. Remember that practice makes perfect, and discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishments.
I loved that. The plateau effect is a natural part of the learning process. When you take on a new language, you want to learn it all as fast as you can. Unfortunately, our brains aren't prepared to absorb that deal of information at once. Stay persistent, maintain a positive mindset, and don't give up. Every cloud has a silver lining, and perhaps the plateau effect is the perfect excuse to improve your learning habit.
Great! Now, we'll bring up some personal stories of language learners who went through the plateau effect and share their experiences in a forum about the subject. First, we have John, who says that the best way he found to overcome this stagnation was starting to use the language and finding someone to talk to. Films and books were also helpful, but he found that conversation demanded more attention and made him use the language in an authentic and natural way.
Next, we have Anna, who reveals that she was in such a slump with learning the language that she couldn't see herself going anywhere, so she gave herself a 1-month break from studying it. When she resumed her studies, she was highly motivated. She also advises to try different methods to improve, such as taking a translating class. She did it and ended up learning more things than she could have ever learned by studying on her own.
That's amazing! And finally, we have Liam, who claims that what really helped him bridge the plateau gap with listening comprehension was to take resources for a lower language level, such as videos or audios, and speed them up to get used to it. This made the faster speech of the higher language levels less of a big difference from the easier stuff.
And that brings us to the end of this episode. Summing up, today we talked about the infamous Plateau Effect, the phenomenon that makes you feel like you're making no progress in language learning. We discussed some possible causes behind this barrier, and we developed many strategies to overcome it, including advice on how to diversify your learning methods and on how to establish realistic goals. Additionally, we shared some stories from language learners who experienced the plateau effect firsthand and could get over it with hard work and resilience.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode and remember that success in language learning is a journey full of challenges. Our mindset has a strong influence on our approach to learning. Discouragement may make you feel like giving up, but you shouldn't let it get the best of you. Learning a language is like a marathon. At the beginning, you move quickly. The farther you go, the more you slow down. Obviously, it was more fun when you move faster, but quitting now that the finish line of fluency is in sight is a mistake that you may regret later on. You've already put much effort and commitment towards this, so don't let stagnation stop you from finishing the race. Goodbye and thank you for listening.